Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am coming to you guys with a story time from when I worked at
Victoria's Secret.
As you may know, I am an apparel merchandising major at my university, and so it has been helpful getting into some of these different types of retail jobs, especially with fashion, just to kind of see the store operations. Depending on the store type, there are different levels of service and different kinds of products offered, and it's all talked about in class. I glossed over that way too quick while I was filming, so I'm sorry about that, guys. What I meant to explain was the spectrum of service in retail stores. It represents the two extremes of the product speaking for itself and the services the store provides. For example, think of Walmart. The employees put the products on the shelves and just leave. No one sticks around to talk to the customers or to help sell the products. I used to work at Target in the apparel and accessories department, and I was there when they actually shifted the business model to move closer to the service side of the scale by making sure us employees put more focus on interacting with and getting to know the customers, so it was more of an experience for them and had a warmer brand image. Because that's the thing about service. It's a personalized experience where you oftentimes pay for that experience and for the sales associate's expertise. Think of a bridal shop. Most of the time you need to make an appointment in advance. You bring your friends and your mom. Sometimes they even serve champagne, and the employees are with you the entire time you're in the store to tend to your every need and inquiry. I would say Victoria's Secret is somewhere in the middle, kind of, where the products are a bit pricey and us employees need to know our stuff to present relevant and effective product options to the customers, but I'll get more into that later. It's interesting to see it in practice, but this is one of the worst jobs I ever had. Now, let me be clear, because of guidelines and law and whatever, I'm just doing my review in a video format, essentially. There's websites like Glassdoor and stuff where employees can leave reviews of companies, so it's perfectly okay that I'm doing this. This is a story about my experiences. If you work at Victoria's Secret and love it, good for you. I know not every store is like mine was, so let's get into it. Okay, I was pretty young when I had this job. I applied. They called me for an interview. I have been to this store location a few times, so I really thought that, I don't know, like it wouldn't be weird, but it was totally cold. I sat down, they asked me a series of questions, and for some reason, they just didn't like my answers. I know that I was young, and I know that I didn't have a ton of retail experience prior to that job, but I just thought that was weird. They were just super pushy. Whenever I would say something, they would just be like, well, why though? How did you know how to do that? How did you know what to do? Just like, I don't know, sometimes retail's intuitive. If you're a retail worker, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know, you just deal with it. I just felt very kind of belittled and I just felt uncomfortable. It was cold, it was weird, like there was nothing fun about this interview process at all, which I don't know what interviews are particularly fun, but you know when you connect with someone naturally and you guys just kind of click and it's more of a conversation rather than an interview. Those do exist, but this for me was not that. And so anyway, I got hired and they gave me my onboarding dates. They literally called me. Okay, this was crazy. They called me, and anybody who knows me, I am the list queen. I write everything down on paper, on my phone, on my computer, just everywhere. So when I got this call about my onboarding dates, I literally had a pen and paper right there with me as they were talking to me. They said, okay, come in this day, and this day, and that was 2 weeks out. So I was like, okay, they must be preparing some stuff or they're doing other interviews or whatever. I put those dates in my calendar, but then they literally called me a week later. Where are you? I was like,
what do you mean?
I literally pulled out the piece of paper that I had the day that they called me about the onboarding and I read it to her. I was like, hey, you told me this day, and this day. And I don't know if it was a miscommunication on their part, if they just didn't know what dates they actually told me, but genuinely, I know what they told me, but this lady on the phone tried to tell me I was wrong, saying, no, you should be here at this time right now. Even though I kept trying to insist that those other dates were the dates that I was told, I was literally in bed. They may have even woken me up with the phone call. But even though there was this huge miscommunication, me being me, I was like, well, okay, do you want me to come in now, today? And that whole entire phone call, they just had this attitude. Her response to me was,
well, it's your onboarding. It's your training, Olivia.
It was just so condescending. You literally told me next week and you're calling me this week saying I should have been there. So I told her I would be there within the hour, and I literally got up and rushed around. I did some trainings online, did some shadowing, and then my actual first day came around. I don't remember how long exactly the onboarding was, but most of it was really just paperwork. I didn't shadow all that much, and when I did shadow, I feel like there wasn't much activity going on, and so it wasn't the most helpful thing. And so my first real day of work was pretty crazy. The managers are all so cold. I don't understand why there was always such an attitude with everybody. There was one team lead that I actually liked and thought was nice, but for reasons that I totally don't know, I fell out of her favor quickly. I don't know why. She was really friendly in the beginning, and then all of a sudden she just became really short with me whenever we would talk. And again, I literally have no idea what I even did. I wasn't there for that long at that point. For the uniform, you had to wear head to toe all black closed toe shoes, and definitely not sneakers. I don't think sneakers were totally not allowed. I don't think they outright said makeup was required, but they did encourage it. They just wanted us to have that type of service specialty store vibe. We also had to have a radio on us at all times, a pink tape measure, and then a fanny pack with even more stuff. I don't even remember what was in there. It was like a bunch of, oh, that's what was in there. Pencils and those size cards for your perfect fit. There were a lot of strict rules, especially with sales goals, and we really had to know our stuff. We had to know all about the sales going on, all about the product assortment. Oh my gosh, I forgot to mention, you were required to show up at least 20 minutes before your actual shift started to go on the store iPad and get caught up on all the company news, the sales going on, and then literally walk your assigned zone to see what's changed and know what's available. The managers took this very seriously. How to measure a client, how to build the bag, and just a whole bunch of different types of tasks and talking points, and like really taking the customer through the experience and the process, which is fine, but it was just so cutthroat at times. But before I get into all that specifically, I am going to talk more about the employee benefits just a little bit. I think the biggest perk was definitely the gratis. Every month or bi-monthly or whenever there was some special employee like event thing going on or something, you had to do certain trainings on the company iPad in the back room. And upon completion of these trainings, you were able to receive a select category of free items. For the new hire onboarding gratis, I received a sports bra, a workout tank, leggings, 2 or 3 bras, and 3 to 4 pairs of panties, I'm pretty sure. When they rang it all up, it added up to a value of about $230. So that's no joke. I got an entire workout outfit, some bras, and some panties. That's pretty cool. We did have to follow certain guidelines. There were certain limits, like you couldn't get anything super fancy, especially for the sports bra. Because they have so many styles of those, you had to get the most plain version of it, which is fine. It's free stuff. But that's the only gratis I can really talk about because I didn't receive any more after that because I left. But anyway, I really want to talk about my second day, my first day opening, my second day on the job overall. It was super early in the morning and we all literally sat in our cars in the parking lot until the key holder showed up. Nobody told me what to expect ahead of time. Nobody told me what it was kind of going to look like, how it was going to work, what the opening process was. Literally nobody told me anything. I saw everyone else get out of their cars when the door was unlocked, so I just followed everyone else inside. And it was honestly borderline chaos. Basically, the main event of any opening shift was to literally unpack the new freight of products, new shipment. Different companies call it different things. But there were a lot of us. There were at least 4 managers, I think, and then maybe 6 employees like me, just sales associates. Again, they didn't tell me anything. With each particular specific task, they would kind of pull us aside to do it and say, oh yeah, you do this for this thing. Such as how to unpack something and put it on a hanger in a particular way on the rack that was going to be brought out to the floor to then stock it. There was a specific process for each and every category of item in that store, and especially during store hours when you're zoning, you had to fold everything in a very particular way. Like, it was very tedious. And so anyway, eventually this whole opening shift was just not very guided, and I didn't know what to do. Like, when I finished each task, nobody was even there to say, oh, okay, great job, now on to the next thing. Like, everybody was just everywhere doing their own thing. It was very chaotic. I remember walking around the sales floor trying to find something to do. And when I would literally go up to the managers, again, I don't know why the energy was so cold all the time, but they would do that mean girl thing where they look right through you. They don't look at you, they look right through you, and then they just walk away. I was literally putting so much effort trying to say, hey, what do I need to be doing? I finished this and this. Like, this is my second day on the job, my first time opening ever. Please let me know what to do. And then they would do that thing. So I thought, oh my gosh. So I ended up finding some girls unpacking a box of bras for a specific zone. So I just joined them because, again, I didn't know what to do and I didn't want to just stand there because I didn't want to get yelled at. Within 2 minutes, I'm not even kidding you, within 2 minutes, one of the managers comes over to us, literally screams at us saying,
there doesn't need to be 3 people unpacking this one box of bras. What are you doing? You're wasting time.
Da-da-da-da-da. And I literally, I don't even know what I said. I was just so upset. I probably did say something along the lines of, I asked you guys and nobody would frickin' give me an answer of what to do. It was just terrible. We had to know everything. It was very tedious work. And again, I'll kind of get into this later, but I don't like the business model of those specialty stores, of the building the bag, because it's just not genuine. You want to actually form a connection with the customers in a nice way and not just in a way that's gonna make you money. And speaking of making money, employees only made a small portion of commission. They made a big deal about it. But what's absolutely baffling is that employees that were bound to the front registers for their entire shift, they still had sales goals. They could not leave their post, yet they still had this, I'm pretty sure, the same level of sales goals as floor employees. They had to rely on add-ons at the register, last minute, whatever small product they were promoting. But the impulse aisle of the store I was at was the body care, fragrance, lip glosses, lotion section. And so if absolutely no one was in line, they were able to kind of like go around and check out that stuff and try to sell stuff to people as they were coming up or whatever. But if it was busy, you were literally stuck behind that counter all day long, yet you still had goals to make. And so here's another thing. Once the customer got up to the register, the employee asks them who helped them on the sales floor. And that is how we got our points that contributed to us making sure we reached our individual sales goals. Because that's another thing. I don't know if I specified that. It wasn't a store sales goal. It was an employee sales goal. Every single one of us was individually responsible for our goal. And so if you're someone like me who's bad with names, and I'm pretty sure we didn't even did we wear name tags? I'm trying to remember. Maybe some days we wore name tags, some days we didn't. I genuinely don't remember, but I really don't think we did. And so I'm bad with names. I would feel so bad. I don't shop at Victoria's Secret anymore for multiple reasons.
They really thought their rebrand would save them.
But if the customer didn't know the name of the person that was helping them, they didn't get the points, nobody would get the points. But actually, I genuinely remember and recall that at least at my store, the cashier would put their own name if the customer didn't remember who helped them on the floor, especially if it was an employee that was bound to the register all day. Not naming names, I never did that, but it's something I saw. This next detail though, I have never heard of another store doing this. So at the top of each hour, the managers would come to every single one of us employees to talk about our sales goals and how we were doing. And it wasn't nice feedback either. It was always super harsh. Instead of saying something like, oh, you did really good in this area, but can you try focusing more on these for the next hour to blah, 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 or whatever. It's hard to get long shifts at specialty stores like that for whatever reason. Sometimes you would have a 3-hour shift or a 4-hour shift. And even with those, they literally call them baby shifts. Even with those baby shifts, if you weren't performing to the standard that they wanted you to, they sent you home. Even if you were there for only an hour or 2, they sent you home early. I went home early once, and I distinctly remember I was supposed to be there for about 5.5 hours. They sent me home at 3 hours. So not only was it mentally and physically exhausting to perform at the crazy standards they wanted us to, but you could get sent home early on top of that and not have as big of a paycheck at the end of the week as you were hoping for. We are all trying our best constantly. If you didn't want us to be here, you didn't have to hire us. And so another story I have was from when I wanted to take a break one day. I had already been working a while. I was tired, the store was busy, and so whenever you wanted to take a break, you had to call it. I love how I'm pointing to my microphone as if it's a radio. You had to, well, I think because they had those button thingies. You had it clipped to your shirt like my microphone is right now, and you would press the button on the side and it's a microphone attached to the headset. You had to ask to go to the bathroom, you had to ask for your 15-minute break, and you had to ask for your 30-minute break. I rarely got a 30-minute break, but this day I was qualified for a 15-minute break, and nobody responded. I was so physically and mentally tired. I was entitled to a 15-minute break. Again, the mean girl vibe.
I didn't get to take my break.
There were plenty of us on the floor too, so it's not like they couldn't afford to have me leave for 15 minutes. Okay, and so the last thing I want to talk about is the method of payroll. You were unable to get direct deposits right away. They pushed this stupid, I don't know what it's called, I don't know the technical term for it, but it's literally a debit card, like a payroll card that they put your earnings on. And of course it had the Victoria's Secret brand on it and everything. You could use it anywhere, but if you're like me, who uses online and mobile banking all the time to pay my bills, this card had no online account. It was literally just the card. There may or may not have been a rule that you could only use it on physical purchases. It was just so odd. I didn't really know what was on the card at any given moment. Sure, you have your pay stub, but it's not like I can check and say, oh, this is the current balance on it. Eventually, finally, my direct deposit did kick in because I applied as soon as possible. But again, I didn't stay there long. I ended up working there for 2 months. But if it weren't for my dad, I literally would have only lasted 2 weeks. And I say that because I was still young and my dad said that if I didn't get another job lined up that I couldn't quit this one. It was really good pay at the time, at least. I came from a job right before that one making $9 an hour. And then this one was $13. The shifts were really exhausting and I wasn't scheduled a whole lot. I will say there was one shift out of the 2 months I worked there that I actually did pretty good with the sales stuff. I'm a friendly person and I liked the products. So I remember being on a roll. They were saying some positive things about me. That day and that day only, the energy in the store was actually lighter than before. But again, when it comes to the whole building the bag thing, kind of manipulative. It could leave a bad impression of your store. So as for some closing thoughts, I remember calling them to give them my 2 weeks. And the lady on the phone, which is the team lead that I used to like and used to be nice to me, she said, oh, well, because you put in your 2 weeks like this, because you're leaving respectfully, letting us know, whatever, you are qualified to work for us again in the future. As if most people just quit and stopped showing up and didn't actually call to say that they quit or call to say their 2 weeks. I'm sorry, that's just so funny. Even though I'm eligible, I am not going to work there ever again. It just bothers me so much because at the end of the day, you have to reach those numbers all the time, all over again. Nothing is celebrated. Nothing is like, oh yay, we reached our goal today, let's celebrate. No, it's just every single day, same thing. They yell at you. It's really intense. Just gotta meet those goals. It's always just, oh, keep going, keep going. Capitalism. But that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this entertaining, helpful, please go give it a like. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel already, think about it. Do it if you want. Wishing you a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.